back into your speciality, Sarah, the women's double sculls on the Berkshire side here in race 19. We have from France Miss Tarantola and Claire Bove, and on the box side Ernst and Rakauskaite, who are representative of Worcester University and Worcester Rowing Club.
Yeah, and the French crew on the left-hand side, I've watched them race earlier in the season. They've raced in the lightweight competitions in the European Championships. This year, the French national programme seems to have got a resurgence, both in numbers and in quality, and it's really lovely to see. We've seen some fantastic French lightweight doubles. The men's lightweight double is the best in the world at the moment, and these ladies are also a class crew. Great to see them here at Henley Royal Regatta.
Yeah, the French out in front, further underlining the international flavour of the week. And nearer to us, the Worcester University Worcester Rowing Club pair, whose own biographies are very, very interesting.
Yeah, I love that. The straight girl and the Worcester Crow, she's started the rowing sport of rowing at 14, and she's made it into the Lithuanian national rowing squad. But at the moment, look here, they've just drifted over. They've put themselves in behind the French, which actually isn't very helpful, because you're rowing in the dirty water, as we call it, in their puddles. And because the French can kind of see them, that they're starting to lose their direction as well. I mean, the back crew, they can go anywhere on the river. Ideally you stay in the best water for yourself, but I think, you know, they've worked so hard, they've pushed themselves, and they found themselves up a very tough crew.
Yeah, Rakauskaite, the stroke girl I see, is the rowing head coach to Hereford Cathedral School, so she's having to sing for her supper. But those two from the Worcester area are really labouring to stay with this French pair. Claire Bove herself, just 19, competed at the World Junior Championships in both 2015 and 2016. Laura Tarantola raced at the under-23s in 2014, won silver in 15, bronze in 16, so she is decorated, and you can understand why.
Yeah, look at that, beautiful rowing by the French double. Just using the lean back more than we've seen perhaps any other crew here at the regatta to date, pressing the boat through, using the strength that the trunk swing can bring off the legs, and look at how well that's pressing the boat. And interestingly, on the other side, with our Worcester and Worcester Rowing Club boat, the girl in the stroke seat, we may be seeing her in the future in the Paralympics. She's been training with the GB squad for the legs, trunks and arms, and that now has both the four, which we see in the mixed events that Great Britain's had such strength in, and also the double. So it'd be great to see her racing internationally, perhaps in Tokyo in a few years' time.
Yeah, that's a brilliant thought, and a great experience again. So often it sometimes sounds slightly like damning with faint praise, but it is the nature of the event that the cream comes up against those still very much on a learning gradient, and whilst the gap in class is sometimes very evident, and indeed the distance between boats come the finishing line is more than evident, there is a lot of positivity to be had by those who are at a very different place in their career.
And Peter, I think you're right. I raced the single sculls here back in 1996. I think I came up against one Gwyn Batten, who was preparing for the Olympic Games, and Sarah Winkles, who at the time could barely stay in her single scull and keep straight off the start, managed to stay with Gwyn potentially, I'd like to think, to the top of the island. if I'm going to rewrite history, maybe to the barrier. But it really inspired me, and this is what this sport is about, the opportunity to go side by side with national athletes who are at the top of their game, who are training as hard as they can, and you just think, you know, they've got the same arms and the same legs as me. Could I possibly be in a team with her? And actually just 2 years later I was in a quad with Gwyn. Yes, we're competing with her.
It's a lovely story, Sarah, of course, and I suppose the other thing it does is teach you to learn to deal with attention, learn to be the centre of attention, and if, like you and so many of our great stars in recent years, you do go on to become an Olympian, there is that moment when the world is watching you, the whole world is watching you, and this can be to some extent the beginning of that process, because it must feel as though the whole world's watching you when you're out there for the first time.
And isn't it a privilege? You know, there's so many rowing fans who come here to the Royal Regatta day in, day out for our 5-day programme, and they love to watch this great rowing, and they will be watching this French double, just watching that pick up. They'll all have an opinion on how well they're rowing and how they could go even faster, because that's what rowers do. We want to contribute, we want to see, but look at that. Even at this rate, their catch going to the water sweetly, picking it up, moving their boat solidly.
Laura Tarantola and Claire Bove from France. Poetry in motion, a delight to watch. Not overly stretched at the end of the race, of course they're not. Little matter, it's been another fine exhibition, and they go forward to the Henley weekend. Everybody's target, and a lot to be had, one hopes, for these two, Ernst and Rakauskaite, who we genuinely believe will have enjoyed that experience just to share the water with such a class pair.